Hey guys, Typical Dave here. I'm currently playing the Human Resource Machine. This is year 20, and I'll be showing you how to get both the size and the speed challenges completed. In this one, the challenges are use 15 or fewer commands and complete in 109 or fewer steps. This one you cannot get both in one go, so what we're going to do is go for the size challenge first, and then we'll be completing the speed challenge second. First thing we want to do is grab an inbox, because the goal of this one is to grab two numbers and multiply them, so 9 times 4. We're going to grab the number, and then what we're going to do is write it down in the first box. We are then going to go back to the inbox and grab the 4, and we are going to write it down into the second box here. Once we've written it down, we want to subtract it from itself and write it. So we've written it, subtracted from itself, that will give us a 0. So 4 take 4 is 0. And then we're going to write that down into the third box here. Now we know that one's a 0. That's going to be our answer box. We're going to see now if it's a multiple of 0. The way we do that is we are going to bump down this one here. And if the answer is a negative, it means it must have been a 0. So we're going to jump all the way up to the top. We're going to grab the 0 that we created, and we're going to write it down. As we can't start on a copy from command, we're going to need to put a jump in and jump to the inbox. Now, if it gets past this, we've established that it must have been a 1 or higher. So what we're going to do is grab this number here, and we are going to add it to the 0 at the end. So it must be, just say it's a 1, a 9 and a 1. Because we know it was at least a 1, it's going to put the 9 here. 9 plus 0 is 9. Now, what we're going to do is jump and copy to 2. So we've added the numbers together. We need to write it down here. And then we can start the whole sequence again. And that's all that this level requires. So if I click play, you will see what I mean. It's going to write down the 9. It's going to grab the 4 and write it down. It's a 0. So we bump this down. As it's not a negative, it's going to continue going through this loop. So I'll get it going so we can speed through this a bit. And you'll see it's going to go 9, 18, 27, and then 36. And now it's going to detect that it was a 0. So it's going to grab that 36 and output it. And we're going to go through all the way. So I'll just speed it up a bit. Some of the runs are really, really long, so it actually takes ages. There's no way of doing this quicker that I've worked out. So it's going to detect it was a 0 straight away and output the 0. If this one's a 0, it's going to keep multiplying by 0. There's nothing we can do about that yet without going over 15 commands. There we go. So everything's finished. So as you can see, use 15 or fewer commands. We only use 14. However, for the speed challenge, we used 163 out of 109. So what we need to do is click back, and we're going to go for the speed challenge. So back. Right, now the new numbers are coming. The first thing we want to do is hit clear, yes. And we're going to start a whole new code. So this time, we're going to grab a number from the inbox, and we're going to write it down into the third box across. We are now going to check to see if that number was a 0. If it was a 0, we need to grab a new second number for the inbox, because as you know, for multiplication, we need to keep this in pairs, otherwise the belt will get out of sync. Now we've got that, we need to copy the 0 that we've just written down here. Once we've copied that, we need to output it. Now, as we're not at the start of the code anymore, you need to put a jump in and jump to the start. Now, if it's not a 0, we need to write this down. So we're also going to copy it to this box here. So 1 and 2 are going to both be whatever the first number is. Now we've done that, we can grab the second number. If that number is a 0, we can outbox it immediately, because 0 times anything is 0. Now, if that number wasn't a 0, we need to write it down. So we're going to write it down into the first box here. We are then going to bump down this first number. By doing so, we can see if it was a 1 times anything. So if it's a 0 now, so if it's a 0, we can grab whatever's in these boxes, so copy from 2, and outbox it. Because 1 times anything is always going to be whatever the anything is. Now, if we bump it down and it's still not a 0, it means it must be a 2 times or higher. So what we're going to do is copy from 1, and we're going to add it to 2. So we're going to turn this into a 2 times, and we're going to write down that answer. So copy the new answer to 2. Once we've done that, what we're going to do is bump down the first box again. Now, is it a 0? If it's a 0, it means whatever we've written down into this box, the 2 times, must be correct. Because we bumped it down twice to get to 0, it means it must have been 2 times something. If it's not, it means it must be a 3 or higher. So what we're going to do is jump up. And we're going to jump to here, and we're going to do the whole thing again. So we're going to copy across. So copy this one, add it to this one again, and bump it down for 3 times. And then it's continuously cycle. Now, that's the end of the code. That's all that's required for this level. So what we're going to do is hit play. We're going to bring the 6 across. Obviously, it wasn't a 0, so we're going to continue on. We're going to paste the 3, and we're going to just keep multiplying it across. So 2 times 6. No, we're going to keep going. 3 times 6 is 18. Bump it down. So we've got a 0 now, so we know the 3 was correct, and we can bump the 18 across. What I'm going to do is speed it up, because some of these can take quite some time, depending on how big the number is. Now, with all our checks, the split second we get zeros, it's just going to jump the answer straight across. We've got a 0, paste it in. Now we've got another 0, we need to write it down. We need to get rid of the 5 to pair it up, and then grab the next 0 and output it. And now we just need to do 8 times 8. So we're just going to fast forward right through this, because it's going to take quite some time. Done, and we got our 64. And there we go. So, as for the size challenge, 19 out of 15, we failed that part. But for the speed challenge, we now did it in only 108 moves. So, we have now finished both the size and the speed challenge. I hope you found this helpful, and thanks for watching.